Morovich if he's available.
Actually, I guess he's not here right now.
Good to meet you. We haven't met yet.
Deputy Bear.
Hey, God bless him, man. Good to meet you. Well, I was just, if he's not here, I mean, he's the one that's familiar with everything and the one that signed off on how would you say, the return of my truck last time, or the first time.
Okay.
And that was where, you know, that was the order that was to be carried out, respected, all that good stuff. It was kind of circumnavigated, and you know, it was. I wasn't allotted the amount of time, you know, and honored that agreement was honored to address these matters, you know, efficiently, timely, responsibly, all that good stuff. I literally, it was like 7 days, it was 8 days. After a 3-day week, I was on my way to court, and they towed it again. And then to the 30-day hold on.
This is the truck that was not registered.
Right.
And then when you got it out last time, you went to DMV, you got a 1-day moving pass.
Right.
Okay. And you were driving it prior to that day?
No, not driving, just traveling. Prior to that day, I was, let's see, the day that they towed it the first time, that was an entire orchestration. I deal with this all day, all night. I'm a target individual gang trafficking. Well documented, fully researchable. 829, the day that I got ran into, it was actually International Targeted Individual Day. And it's, so that's, you know, to be discussed and whatever, but it's not completely irrelevant, but it is, you know, I get a bit fringe, but it's something very related. My wife is being, it's human trafficking related. So she's being set up to be killed. They killed her sister last year, so it's very real. Very serious. But woman run into me, came running to y'all, said that I did it, it was all me. She was following me, cut me off, got in front of me. I'm like, whatever, passing her, and then you see, and there was a contact. And I stopped, pulled over, waited. She's taking pictures. I'm thinking she's gonna call my phone. Never did so. Never got out of the car. I know what she's doing, right? So I'm a little impatient with these people because this is all day of my life, every day of my life. So I just continued, no damage, you know, I'm just, you know, nothing wrong. So, you know, I just go about my business, go to the gym, got a call from deputy, I forget his name, but deputy called me, and, oh, it's a problem? All right, I'll be right down there, you know. And long story short, he came out and told my, he came out to just exchange the information, and that's what he told me, was that we're just exchanging the information, just so y'all can handle it. And I said, you know, on the phone, I told him, you know, your whole point is to tow my truck, is to try to take me, find a way, get me to jail, all this good stuff, right? Well, not so good, I should say, but loosely speaking. And you know, but I'll be right down there, you know. And he said, well, I can see this isn't going very well. I'm like, how so? We're having a conversation. I'm fully cooperative. If there's anything that's about that pertains to me, I'm trying to address it, and I want to do so. So I'll be down there as soon as possible. Didn't even come out there to my gym. Didn't even put me in, especially in cuffs. You know, threaten with arrest, take my truck in front of everybody, embarrassment, all that good stuff. It's completely unnecessary. Not to mention it's unlawful. I have all my rights are intact, everything's intact. So that was that day. Took my truck, got it out.
Because you arrested you for a hit and run.
It was. That's what was the alleged hit and run, and that was her accusation. If you look at the cameras, which she didn't understand, he didn't do beforehand, afterhand, all that. She's following me. She's got my birthday on her license plate.
Well, I'm not investigating.
Right. But I mean, it's very, very obvious. You know what I mean? Especially with all the documentation evidence I have, people doing this stuff nonstop. So it's just standard, consistent aspects of this incident.
But you're here to try to get your truck
right. So what ultimately culminated was that we agreed, Craig Morovich and myself right here, to have his signature here, just so you can see, seeing and believing in everything, that, you know, let him get his truck out, let him address the stuff, timely manner, etc., etc. That was Morovich there, that he gave me. Took that, got my moving permit, and I was really on the way to court to begin addressing these matters and getting this stuff all, you know, taken care of. You know,
once you're going to court to get what part two?
Well, to begin, that was the first day of court following the getting my truck out of impound. It was my first court appearance, man, 7. I got it out 5 days after the 29th.
Well, you know, to get it registered, you have to go to DMV, not the court.
Right, but that's the thing, is there's the whole registry, that's the whole issue of registration, the license, all that stuff need to be brought before the judge. Because I'm not going to the court, I'm not going to the DMV and doing all, I'm not submitting my property over to the state, I'm doing all that stuff. It's my personal private property. I'm common law.
The court doesn't register vehicles.
Right, but I need to present this whole situation to the proper judge, the proper court, to decide on that, rule over the matter, to address this matter properly and legally, and to have it done so that I'm not circumnavigating the law at all, and that I can be evidence that I'm not circumnavigating the law. And as a matter of fact, that Sergeant Craig himself personally, of himself, he insubordinately disregarded the mortgage orders to allow me to get to court, stopped me from getting to court, ripped me out of my truck, put me in cuffs, no crime committed, not a single crime, no damage, no personal property damage, and took me to jail instead of allowing me. He could have cited me. If you're gonna take my truck, you could have cited me, took my truck, and let me go to court. You should have jail. Because I was trying to get to the
because you were driving with a suspended license, correct?
Well, that's what I'm no driver. That's commercial. I do not drive.
No, we'll cut that right now. The California Vehicle Code was written in 1936. The definition of drive in the state of California and 46 other states is to be in physical control of the vehicle and have volitional movement with the tires. That whole traveling and driving thing, saying driving is for commercial purposes, that's what some guy on YouTube that wants to be a YouTube warrior came up with.
No. This is
We're not
documented.
talking about the International Commercial Code or anything like that. The courts have held that the term drive
Which
means
courts?
physically being in operation of a vehicle.
Okay, which courts?
The last case I remember that being in was Mercer versus the DMV, which was a DUI case, which with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, a federal court, stated specifically that drive means being in operation of a vehicle with volitional movement of the wheels.
I'll have to look that up.
That was a 1991 case.
Okay, well, this was filed in 2017, and it substantiates the claim to this here, which is that it is not necessary, no license necessary to drive automobile on public highways and streets. And then we have 118
However, the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution gives states the right to regulate things such as driving. It says some things that are not in the Constitution is up to the states to go ahead and regulate.
Right, but not
Which driving a motor vehicle is not in the United States Constitution.
so long as they do not infringe upon our rights established in the Constitution.
The right to drive is not in the Constitution.
Well,
Driving is a privilege in the United States of America.
but wouldn't certain people love that to be true?
Traveling is a right. However, there are many modes of traveling: bicycle,
Horse-drawn carriage is one of
riding
them,
a horse,
and our personal automobiles are
driving a motor vehicle is not in the United States Constitution.
right. Motor vehicle. The term motor vehicle means every description of carriage or other conveyance propelled or drawn by mechanical purposes or mechanical power. Right. And very, very important word, used for commercial purposes. That is from right there. We have Chaput versus American Mutual Liability Insurance Company. Well established. We have it in many ways as well. The term motor vehicle is different and brought it in the word automobile. I'm simply traveling in my personal private automobile.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna go ahead and play that game.
Right. Well, that's not a game. It's I'm not playing.
It's a game because the 10th Amendment of the Constitution gives states the rights to regulate that.
Right,
And California is one of 50 states and the U.S. territories that have established that you need a driver's license to drive in the state of California. Driving being operating and being in physical control of a motor vehicle with volitional movement of the tires.
Well,
So
I have.
California has the state right to establish that law. So, being that, California also regulates that your property, which is your vehicle, must be registered in the state of California to use the roadways. If you don't want to register it, you could register it, but it has to stay on private property. If it's going to be on a city roadway, it needs to be registered.
The use of the highways for a purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and the individual cannot be rightfully deprived. Barney versus Board of Railroad Commissioners. Goes on for days, by the way, as far as that goes, as far as the highways. Let's go to, let's see. And let me take you back to personal automobile is part of the household goods. Like I don't have to register my taxi, I don't have to register my dog, my horse, right? My donkey. If I have a horse-drawn carriage, don't need to register a horse-drawn carriage, do I? Don't need to register a carriage.
I have no idea if the state requires a carriage to be registered.
And I can see, I understand is in the loose context of that works. I bind myself to no agreement here. But I comprehend that we can look at this as laughable, but when it comes down to how you're affecting someone's life, it is no laughing matter, right? At the end of the day, me being able to pull my entire home, because it's a mobile home, and that right and that ability to be being stripped from me is a very detrimental thing to do to someone. It really affects my life. When I can't get to work, I have to turn down jobs, I have to turn down occupational, employmental, or opportunities, or just help somebody, being able to serve my community, my church. Having my personal private automobile taken from me to do those careless things out, that really matters. It really makes a difference. Now, if this is all to be like hashed out and worked out to where we can say, okay, this is this and this is this, it should be done. If y'all are in, with good intent, right? And with the benefit of the doubt, if you have truly good intent, it gives me chills to think that you don't. You know what I mean? And it gives me chills to think that you do, because I respect y'all highly. All right, and I truly love you in Christ. But if you are with well intent and wealthfulness, then this is to be done properly. It's to be, all right, let's not rob this person of his modality. Let's let each other know. Let's all understand this man's addressing these matters in a timely manner. These matters are being addressed. We're well aware of who he is. We're well aware of his truck. Make a simple little note. We have plenty of ABVs for all criminals. See, I'm no criminal.
But we're not going to let you have your truck back and keep driving it around throughout the city streets.
Makes a difference. I'm not deaf. I don't, but I understand what you mean.
The California state law says you cannot operate that vehicle on a public roadway unless you have a valid license and you're able to register.
Alright. So, a political
It also says that we can't release it until it's registered. Now, when Lieutenant Moravich went ahead and said you could have it last time, that was contingent on you getting a one-day moving pass, which DMV will let you drive it for. So the DMV will let you operate it for 1 day.
But the agreement was that this is going to be addressed in a timely manner, and that's how I'm able to do so, is by
the DMV issued a one-day moving pass to get you to get it out of the impound, so then you can go pay the DMV and register it so it can be operated on public roads.
And that's what we discussed right here, was that these fees don't apply to me. I'm not under that jurisdiction. I don't submit myself to that jurisdiction because I'm sovereign. First and foremost, I'm indigenous, sovereign, national, Moorish American, all right, Moorish citizen, all right, well, loosely speaking. But first and foremost, a child of God, servant of Christ, period.
Okay.
I'm not a driver.
What is Romans 13 verses 1 through 14 say?
Right, obey the law when it's not corrupt, when it's not.
It says, obey the government because they were put in place by God.
Right.
There was no government without God.
When they're not, let's say,
when the government is saying you need to get a license and a registration. Romans 1 or Romans 13 says you need to obey that law.
When do we know that when it is not violative, infringement, or encumbering, or fettering? I've been fettered all the way out of my mind over here, which is systematically pressed out of opportunity, out of regular society, etc. Real quick, a political subdivision of the state may not require an owner of a motor vehicle to register the vehicle. Registration by political subdivision is prohibited. All right, it's not subject to inspection. Not to mention the legal search and seizure. My fourth on that.
Political subdivision will be the county, the city, or a school district, or the water board, something like that. The state, which is not the political subdivision of the state, it is the state is saying that you have to register. Not a political
A state may not impose a charge for the enjoyment of a right granted by the federal Constitution. Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, requiring licensing registration of any constitutional right itself is unconstitutional.
Where in the first 10 amendments is the right to operate a motor vehicle?
Well, to operate a motor vehicle is a legally used term, but to privately convey oneself with by any means of their own private capacity is all covered in that first in the Constitution. The right to travel freely, unencumbered, free, meaning pay no money, free, unencumbered.
Unless you're a pauper, vagabond, or fugitive.
Sorry?
Unless you're a pauper, vagabond, or fugitive, correct?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't read that. I'm not going to say correct, but
that even goes
but
back to the
criminal.
That even goes back to the Articles of Confederation,
which
was not ratified by all.
Which, mind you, he oversaw the Articles of Confederation. This man right here, my great grandfather.
Okay. So he's the one that wrote in there that paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives don't have the right to travel.
None of which I am.
If you don't have a job, you're a vagabond.
Well,
if you receive
that
government assistance of any kind, like an EBT card, you're a pauper. If you have a warrant, you're a fugitive. So anybody that doesn't have a job and receives government assistance, your great-great-great-grandfather, whoever Morton was, wrote in there that you wouldn't be able to travel.
I had to vet that information,
That's
but I'll take it on
your.
I'll take your word for it for now. But just so you know, he was the one that provided the swing vote that allowed Pennsylvania to vote here of the Declaration of Independence. So he is basically the founder of America. Like, there would be no America if it was not for him. And he was the chairman that oversaw the Articles of Confederation.
But they were never ratified. They were written in 1781, they were never ratified, so in 1787, the current United States Constitution was written and brought up, right? So that's why when people say George Washington was our first president, no, he wasn't. There were 6 presidents prior to the Articles of Confederation. So, that being said, nowhere in your first 10 amendments, which is the Bill of Rights, does it say that you have the right to drive or operate, per se,
Before
they didn't have that.
Right, and
nowhere in there does it say the conveyance of the data.
It was
in the first 10 amendments.
It was what they were referring to as the horse-drawn carriage. That was what the big issue discussion was.
But that's nowhere in the first 10 amendments, which is the Bill of Rights.
Right. Well, it's since then, that's what we can talk about. Motor carriages, right? The law does not denounce motor carriages as such on public ways. Public ways, mind you. This is, and I can go to, let's see if I have it, it might be still in the truck, but we can start there. Public ways, though, are very, very clear that we have the right to travel free anywhere all over this planet. This is God's planet, and we are His children. They have an equal right with other vehicles in common use, equal right to occupy the streets and the roads. It is improper to say that the driver of a horse has rights in the road superior to the driver of the automobile. They're equal.
Horses do. Because a horse rider can tell a person operating a car to slow down, and he has to obey that horse rider.
Well,
a blind person traveling or walking, he's got his white cane. You have to obey what the blind person says as you're approaching.
With reason.
So there are some people that have more rights and authorities on the roadway than a person operating a vehicle.
Morris rights. More rights. More. My namesake is I'm a Morris.
Moroccan or what?
Well, no, just the
because I don't see a fez.
No, I don't partake in all of it. It's simply by birth, and honestly, this sovereignty applies to each one.
Moroccans are the only people that were allowed total sovereignty in the United States, not to obey the laws.
And that's the thing is, I'm not interested in breaking the law. Just trying to come go. You know what I mean? This is really simple.
But by you operating that vehicle on a public roadway. When it's not registered and when you don't have a valid license, is breaking the California law.
Well, then how come a whole panel of Supreme Court judges had to address this, and they addressed it and ruled that, yeah, this is nonsense, we're done with that. At the end of the day, at the bottom line, they said, this is for commercial. Sorry?
Does the Supreme Court make mistakes?
That's to be determined. That's a personal opinion.
Back in, what was it, 1973? They ruled on Roe versus Wade.
overturn that.
Right?
But that's because they're coming for us. They have it all agenda.
That's because the Supreme Court at the time, when they first ruled on Roe versus Wade, made themselves a legislative body, which they did not. So they had no authority to rule on that in the first place.
I appreciate that.
So,
and the thing is, and I respect your acting. I respect your acting. You know what I mean? I'm not claiming to be the most well versed and a lawyer or anything, an attorney at this. I just have a mind, a brain, a heart for God, a heart for law as well. And I'm just trying to. Think about it, $1,200, $400 every year just to have my own private, like, if it was reasonable, I would do my best. And that's the thing is, when I even with these fees, when I do try to reach them, I am systematically, once again, fettered, blockaded. Just case in point, I was on the way to court. He takes me out of my trajectory to court and makes sure that I don't get to court, and not only that, to jail with no crime.
But there was a crime, but you're on your way to court.
No, it was not. I didn't damage any personal property. Right here, it says that, it's very clear on the definition of a crime that there cannot, for a crime to exist, there must be an actual or intended injured party, corpus delicti.
No, not quite.
I mean, it's right here.
In the state of California, the definition of a crime per Penal Code Section 15.
Code.
A crime or a public offense is an act committed or omitted in violation of the law forbidding it or commanding it.
Law.
Under which a law, under which is annexed upon conviction either the following punishments: death, imprisonment, fine, removal from office, or disqualification to hold office.
And what about all these? Okay.
When you have a law forbidding something or commanding something, and you don't do it, like the law says, you shall stop at a stop sign. So it's commanding you to stop at a stop sign. When you don't stop at that stop sign, you just violated the law that's commanding you to stop at the stop sign. Laws say you can't go up and pull a gun on somebody and rob them. So that's forbidding pulling a gun on somebody and robbing them. When you do that, you're committing a crime. Crimes are in 3 different categories: felonies, misdemeanors, and infractions. The crime of where the state says you shall have a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle, that's the law commanding you to get a license. Then when you drive with a suspended license or without a suspended license, now you're committing the crime of the crime that forbids you from driving without one of those things. There does not have to be an injured person, because the victim in that case is the state of California.
Well, the victim cannot be the state. It said, I'll show you right
Okay.
here. It can't be the state. There has to be an actual person an injured party, an injured actual human being party, or their property. All right. Let's see. I was actually just right there. Right. Without corpus delicti, there can be no crime. Traffic infractions are not a crime. People versus battle. Speeding and running a red light are not a breach of the peace. For which there cannot be. If you lights up on me for such a thing as this, and there's no direct crime witness or intended reasonable specific articulable facts or reasonable then that's a felony to use those lights, which they do all the time around me, is lighting those lights up and hitting those sirens and trying to annoy me and play with my little patience and time in life. But they're not a breach of the peace unless immediate reckless endangerment of another actual person present as witness. Purpose versus Texas. America does not have to speak, so you know about that. One other point that I wanted to make was about the let's see. You said the state. The court makes it clear that a license relates to qualifications to engage in profession, business, or trade or calling. Thus, when merely traveling without compensation or profit outside of business, enterprise, or adventure, because trying to pursue life, liberty, and happiness with the corporate state. So jurisdictional and definition, all this law is all the word. There's nothing in there was the word. So it's all about the word. It's all about the words and the definitions. So no license is required of the natural individual, flesh and blood man, not the straw man, traveling for personal, business, pleasure, or transportation. Just traveling, doing my own thing, not in business, which I even have the right into, you know, my own personal business. It's very difficult being paid to go from A to B transporting goods, services, persons. Otherwise, you have the right, man. You have the right. If you want, you know, if you want to be a commercial operator, you want to make money with your vehicle, great, register it. And maybe then I could. I might be able to rise up with you guys and get the freaking barbecue. Hey, look, I made plenty of money today, guys. But I can't even get to that point because you want to just get around in a natural, normal modality.
There's two types of drivers in the state of California, actually in all 50 states. You have your commercial drivers, they have a special license. They actually have to go to the Department of Homeland Security to get all their credentials and all that stuff to get the ability to drive a commercial vehicle. Then you have your private citizen drivers. Now, guys that drive Uber, they don't need a commercial license even though they're carrying out commercial business, but their vehicle needs to be registered as a commercial vehicle.
They're using their vehicle in a commercial capacity. But the licensing is different.
Two different, well, they have a regular passenger car, private citizen driver's license. And the state of California requires that you have a driver's license. Now, if you believe it's totally unconstitutional and all that stuff, what you have to do is you have to go through the process, go to court, have a case where you get found, let's say you get found guilty of driving without a license or with a suspended license, then file your appeals, and then take that all the way up. If you want to go all the way up to the Supreme Court with it, you can. But you actually have to have the criminal case play out and get guilty.
So, in that instance, but in that instance, why should we waste the court's time, people's time, people's money, our time, when it's already been, that process has already been up thousands of times, and not to mention, so you said I have to go through this process, is what you're saying?
You have to go through the process.
And then what do I do after I go through that process? Do I just show that I've gone through that process and I got my merit badge?
No.
And y'all respect me?
Once you go through that process, once you go through the process,
where along the way y'all acknowledge me? You know what I'm saying? Along the way, when I stop and you pull me over and you say, oh, you got what do I need to show you other than that registration? Because that's entering my property into a jurisdiction that I don't want to be part of, right? Where along the way can I show the proper and respectable, acknowledgeable?
Once you go through the process, and if the appeals courts, or even all the way up to the Supreme Court,
and they find I'm not guilty,
says that you were right, that's everything dismissed, then you go ahead and file your civil lawsuits against whatever government agency.
So I can do all that. I can't just be like right in there and be validated.
No, because we're going to go by what the state law says. That's what we're going to do. We have to go by what the state law says.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. In all due respect to that, I greatly respect that. Because like I said, I don't want to be out of order. I don't want to be out of line. I don't want to be like I'm a criminal. You know what I mean? I don't want to be running around here breaking laws and defying it. Nothing. I want to be welcome. I want to be at the, you know, I want to be respected, to be acknowledged and all this. But also, with my wife being raped and sold into sex trafficking, instead of being killed right now as we speak, I don't need to deal with this. All I'm doing is trying to keep her out of human trafficking while they're setting her up to kill her. She killed her sister last year. You understand?
Who have you reported that to?
I've told these people over there, I've told my public defender on the case that got dismissed, sir, twice.
You know we have a
both dismissed.
You know we have a human trafficking team within the sheriff's department.
Well, how come I've been this from day one? Nobody's reached out to me.
Get a hold of one of the human trafficking guys. You call dispatch and say, hey, you know what, this is what I got, and then you see if you get a hold of one of the human trafficking guys, and that's what they investigate.
I'm here right now.
Right? So you have to, let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, I don't care about none of this stuff. That's not my priority. You know, all this stuff is important, but that's secondary. I appreciate it. very good at talking to, or to actually know this law. You know, if everybody's holding me accountable to it, right? I think if there's no excuse. If I gotta know it as just a private common citizen, and if I assault one officer of the law, you at least know it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, but now, unfortunately, in the truck, you got that one thing for Moorfish, and that was the one grace that he was going to give you. They're not going to be able to release it until you go to DMV and register. Unfortunately, the state law is pretty adamant about that.
You know, at that point, I would ask, you know what I mean? I would ask, like, give me a you know, as it said, a cause for action which releasing the grant. I'm broke. I'm
unfortunately, I mean,
help me.
the cause of action is what's needed for a civil case. Now, if you want a cause of action on a criminal type case, that would be
I'm just saying that loosely. Yeah, I'm saying that for the sake of the concept of, like, you know, provide an avenue for which I can navigate. You know what I mean? Not a $1,200 insanity that is impossible to, and say, oh, well, you can't do it.
I totally agree with you. The state is totally out of control with the fees that they charge.
Yeah, give me some reasonability here, because I'm not.
Unfortunately, as long as you're in the state and you're operating that vehicle, you gotta go by the king's rules, unfortunately.
What are you talking about the king then?
He's up in Sacramento.
You talking about
Governor Hair Gel?
Oh, this guy, See, that's my point, is that, you know, it's being made criminal, being made illegal, to be lawful, like, you know, to be constitutionally lawful, that's legal. Then what else is next once you breach that?
You have to go to a federal court and prove that it's unconstitutional.
That brings me back to right.
You're gonna have to do that on.
So you said, all right. Once you go through the process and you validate and verify yourself,
then you can start filing your lawsuits.
I've done so twice, so I need to start filing my lawsuits, and then at the end of those lawsuits, when they get ruled on and everything, then I can finally hold up my badge and say this is what I got.
Unfortunately.
Well, all right. In the meantime, until then, you know, let's do some things a little like to a reasonable degree. Like, say, all right, this guy's doing the best he can. Let's not be assholes. We gotta give enough. You know what I mean? We taught a lesson type of thing. You know what I mean? And that we can respect each other mutually, equally, and not to where it's bending the rules or breaking the law or anything like that either. But let's do what is lawful, which is let me get my truck so I can, and then if it has to stay put.
But unfortunately, that's not California law. They set by this whole.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The 30-day hold, that was a personal. That was Craig. See, Craig got an issue with me, and that's unacceptable. That's first and foremost. That's unacceptable. The way he treated me from day one, from split second, is unnecessary and it's negligent. So at that point, you don't need to put a 30-day hold on it. That was one thing that we you know, you should have seen the way.
That's something you got to bring up with somebody higher than you.
Well, that's what I did with Morris. He was insubordinate to Morris's orders to let him get in court. Morris told him, he said right there, he's insubordinate. That's one thing.
But the way he did it on calendar to go to court that day.
Absolutely, I was. What are you talking about? You want to see the papers?
You were going to the.
I was going to court.
To the traffic court.
I don't know. It was civil court.
The one on Heat,
right? It was civil court. They had to give me the time to bring it to traffic court. They had to say, hey guys, here's what I need. I was on my way there. After the civil court case, go to the clerk, get my introductory document for the traffic court. I was on my way. You know what I mean? You should see how you want to see the video how you ripped me out the truck. Oh man, what are you mad for, bro? What are you mad about?
I don't need to say that.
Right, you don't need to. But the point is that he didn't need to operate that way. He conducted, and this is all a conduct matter. And I believe that, you know, well, beliefs are aside. I know for a fact that the way that this individual is conducting himself is inadequate to the way that it should be done. You know, that he should be, you know, shouldn't be ripping nobody out the truck. I'm not running from anybody. I'm not criminally reckless and dangerous. I'm just getting to the parking lot so I can show that Deputy King was cool. He was a great guy. I was getting to the parking lot to show my paperwork. Safely.
But then, alright, so he goes up there,
Which King was going to let me go ahead about my business. If you talk to me, he's like, I was just let him go. I had other stuff to do. It was all Craig was
prior to him ripping you out of the truck, did he tell you that you're under arrest?
What's that?
Prior to him ripping you out of the truck, did he tell you you're under arrest?
No, I don't know.
Okay, was he going to effect an arrest?
Was he going to effect?
Was he going to effect an arrest?
I have no idea. He took me me out and put me in custody, put me back, and took me to jail. No due process.
Because
Deprived me of due process.
California law,
Presuming me guilty.
California law 835A says that officers and deputies are allowed to use the force necessary to effect arrest and overcome resistance,
Which I never was before.
and to defend themselves or defend other
Maybe.
people. So I don't know if you were resisting or
I can show you a video.
I have no
Of course I
idea.
was.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I can show you the video. You want to know if I was or not? Let's draw a comparison. I was not resisting.
That's between you and the Corps and whoever
So
else.
let's keep it between us and Lieutenant and Craig. Craig needs some damn therapy. The guy's got some issues. He needs a hug. And I'm the first one to give him a hug. I'm the first one to cook his chicken on the barbecue.
I'll tell him that you want to give him a hug.
Yeah, I'm the first one. Like, you know, I guess yo, look, I'm the one that's out there face to face with the drug dealers, shoving a 45 down my eye socket. All right, on 6/6, on June 6th, putting a gun down my head. Out there, I'm your janitor. You understand? I'm the one that's custodian out there on the front lines with these drug addicts. I'm getting them to the ministry. I'm feeding them. Don't do this to your front line.
But
empower your front line.
today you came here to
and making sure that they respect the
today
law.
you came here to get your truck.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now,
I'm begging you.
you're not going to be able to get it unless you get it registered first.
What if we do this? Then same, because they mentioned something I can tell you. He said there's a way to get the process started without, because it's just a money thing. I'm not a registered, I have no money. So let me get this process started to where I can put it in my name. That's all they're hung up on is it's not your name. I'm like, all right. So I'm not being stubborn asshole here. I'm just getting my name and comply with you to show good faith and compromise. He said there's a way to get it started, like freely or very low cost.
I don't know. All I know is you have to go to DMV and pay them the back registration fees. You're probably gonna have to go get it smogged.
See, that's what I can't go ahead and the DMV wasn't even requiring that either. They at Morovich's behest, they said, all right, no problem. Because they're only here. They're like, this was fine, and they understood it all, but they're just like, we just don't want to have the authorities coming after us for doing something unlawful and illegal. And that was where Morovich came and said, hey, you guys are all right to do your thing. What he's telling you is legit. Respect that. It's cool. Give him the movie. If y'all need me to keep my truck in place, then tell me that so I can do so. I was under the presumption and the agreement that I was going to be permitted to come and go as I needed to go to court. That's why I wasn't.
DMV gave you 1 day moving pass. That means
right,
you're allowed to
but
operate it on the roadway
DMV
for 1 day.
But here with you guys, you splendid gentlemen, and Morovich, right? That while I'm out here, that y'all would know and recognize, okay, he's doing his thing, he's handling his business. That's what the agreement was. That and God.
Morovich, even though he's a lieutenant, he cannot.
A lunatic?
Even though he's a lieutenant, he cannot order us to disobey the law.
Right.
Whatever the law says has to.
Right. So when you see me, if I'm breaking the law, if I'm infracting, if I'm doing all this stuff,
As soon as you jump behind the wheel and those wheels roll on a public roadway, you're breaking the law.
Well, what have we got? We've got this thing.
We're going by what California law says. So that's why I say we have to go through that whole process. But as of right now, we're not going to be able to let your truck go until it gets registered.
Man, at least so it's not accruing all these ridiculous, like, I should be handing my truck back free of charge because of that first agreement and the way that Craig circumnavigated those.
But you did your first agreement and you got caught violating your first agreement.
Well, I wasn't, no, because I was fully within the agreement that Lieutenant Morovich directed and commanded. That this is what we're going to do.
What you're saying right now is the lieutenant told Sergeant Craig to violate the law.
I'm not saying that.
You just said
I'm not saying
you said that. You said that as long as you're just driving around here, that you're okay. Well, that's
we had a commentative common understanding that I'm going to be going to court, addressing these matters. And that was the whole premise of getting my truck back. To do so.
And if you're operating your truck, going back and forth to court,
that was fully implied.
Numerous days in violation of that DMV 1 day moving pass, then that's a violation of the law.
Well, that's fully implied.
By telling his subordinates to let you violate the law and go back and forth, that's basically telling us to violate the law by telling you.
Alright, well, like I said, this, the discretionary clause, you have discretion to say, okay, this person is he's intending to commit crime, he's not going around and terrorizing people. We understand that he's just, you know.
So what happens if, let's say you're just operating the vehicle down the roadway, right? We let it operate. Right?
Just call it travel.
Okay, you're traveling down the roadway while operating this vehicle, right? You're in control of the vehicle, engine's running, foot's on the gas pedal, it's in drive, and it's going down the roadway, wheels are rolling.
It's just being prepared by the locomotive.
It's doing 40 miles an hour in the 40 mile an hour zone because you would never break the speeding law, right? And then all of a sudden,
which aren't infractions and not a violation of
then all of a sudden, something happens, you crash, somebody gets severely injured or killed.
God forbid.
Who is the person going to sue the most? The county of Riverside, because the sheriff's department let you travel down the roadway and operate this vehicle when the sheriff's department knew you shouldn't have been doing that. So the liability comes down on the sheriff's department for letting you travel down the roadway in that vehicle knowing that you didn't have a license that the state of California requires.
Well,
so to protect the community as a whole, unfortunately, you end up having to take the brunt of it because you don't have the required registration, the required license that the state requires, whether it's constitutional or not. That has to be argued later with you in the appeals courts and all that stuff.
All I ask is,
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's all reasonable. Very reasonable. Which, you know, because I would never want to be in that situation and have that happen. You know what I mean? Of course, you know. So in that in response to that that premise, then allow me to navigate this so I can do so. You know what I mean? Like we you know, it was like I said, it was a very expressive.
You can navigate it without your truck.
Well,
you can navigate it by riding a bicycle to court, into the DMV, riding a skateboard, right? Ride a horse. That's cool, right? Sure. Find a pigeon, grab the pigeon's legs and let it
also, why should I also though be so disadvantaged though? You know what I mean? Why should I not be able to have the right to like it says right here, not like I said, but like the law says that horses, motorcycles, carriages, automobiles, they're all created equal under the
not quite, because horses have a brain of their own.
Yeah.
Horses look out for danger.
And the person behind
a person operating a vehicle, sure they got a brain, but now they're operating something that doesn't have a brain. With a horse, you got two brains working, right? Hopefully it's not just the horse's brain working.
So basically, then you're talking about competence.
Yeah, some people don't have common sense. That's why the state requires that you get a license to show that you're able to safely propel this 2,000-pound missile down the roadway.
Right, and well, see my and I can show you that I don't have it here with me, but my display of competence is evidence in the fact that I've been doing this since the age of majority. 16 years old. I'm 35 years old.
Actually, age of majority is 18.
Is it 18 now? Well, has it changed?
That's why you're not allowed to consent to sex till you're 18.
But
you're not allowed to vote till you're 18 because that's the age of majority.
Well, majority
that's when you become an adult, which is the age of majority.
Right, but age of majority for this particular, what we're talking about, driving, traveling, operating, that's 16. So, but all right, granted, 18. I'm not 18. I'm not 21. I'm 35, right? So, you know, my proficiency is evidence in the fact that not only am I been doing it for this long, but I know how to do all this. You know what I mean? I can put all this together. Here's my great grandfather. I got the good DNA. Got good, you know what I mean? I'm from good stock. I'm good dude.
But we have to go. The sheriff's department has to go by the licenses. Unfortunately.
Granted, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's like if you can, you know, come and take everything from me, and I gotta go and do all this stuff to say, hey, that's wrong. It's like, instead of saying, yeah, that's wrong, we're not gonna do it. You know, it's because you can do it. Like, that's what he said the day that he took my truck the first time, Craig. He said, I'm going to. I'm like, but you can't even because it's unlawful. I'm not gonna look at that. Oh, so you're gonna disregard the whole book of the law and do what you want to. So why not just do it in favor?
Well, that's a book of court opinions, right?
Well, case law has been ruled on.
So the law in
But you see my
California
point,
is
though?
the California Penal Code, California Vehicle Code, the Health and Safety Code. You have so many different laws in California. You have 48,000 vehicle laws.
I got a solution. Sliding scale. Allow people to pay according to what they can pay.
That's up to the state legislature. You have to go to Sacramento to do that.
Oh, you know, let's work on it.
I mean, if you want to go to Sacramento, beat on some hand drums and you know,
Don't want to.
dance around in a toga or something.
Sure don't want to.
By all means.
I sure just want to be able to say, hey, this, you know what makes sense? Doing this, this, and this. All right, get it done. Bam. You know how much better, you know how much bigger LA would be if it was done right?
LA doesn't need to be bigger.
It doesn't need, but it could be. It could be bigger and better. It would only be bigger if it were better. But everybody is so greedy, grubby, sell. It's microcosm. This whole city, which is a representative, right? This whole place would be better if we did it the right way, which is for one another. And but that's to be implemented. That's to be worked out. But in the meantime, let's at this level where we have the power to do so, let's do so. Let's do so. It's very easy. Just like Morvis said, here, go ahead, handle that. I'm like, all right. And I went and I was doing it. And I was doing it according to our agreement too. I had no ill intention that I'm like, I'm getting away with something. I'm doing something that they said not to do. No, I was doing everything that, and if he would have said, leave that truck at your place and don't take it nowhere, I would have been in the truck. I would have done so. Let me have that chance, because I did not
So
know.
I'll tell you what, Morovich might be back tomorrow.
Alright?
I don't know why he wasn't here today.
Well, I saw Craig peel out of here like the roaches scatter when I see him pull in. He goes, ugh.
Today?
Yeah, wasn't that Craig and him?
No, Craig's in Mexico.
Oh, okay. It looks like him. I was like, oh, there goes Craig right there. I was like, look at it. Alright, he's in Mexico. What the hell is he doing in Mexico?
He's on vacation.
Alright.
So yeah, he's not
Hey, he's one.
So, if you want to come back tomorrow and see what Morovich is
Would have been a good
tomorrow.
word for me though. Of course, don't let me come in here brand new. Talk to him.
But I'm gonna go by what the law says. Of course. And they're gonna go by what the law says. The law says straight out. No, that's what goes straight.
Yeah, and the thing is though, it's like let's operate within the law, but a reasonable, navigable.
Or hell, go up all the way.
Avenue.
Go up all the way. Talk to the captain.
Well, that's what I was going to do.
Talk to you.
That's what I was going to do. But I don't want to do that because it's disrespectful to you people that's in your position, your ranking. I want to talk to. I want all of you. I want respect. I want all of y'all to when you see me out there, because I'm dealing with you out there. I'm dealing with the captain. I don't have to go call captain and call supervisor, call sergeant. I want to be like, hey, what's up, bro? Remember me? Yeah. And they did that at the jail when he didn't even take me to jail. He's like, hey, I remember you. They came both, I forgot his name, came both up to me and said, hey, we remember you, man, what's up, man? You need anything? He's the one that got me water. He needs water so bad, he got me some water. Because he remembered the conversation we did. That's what I do want, is that when we're out there, that we can leave each other alone and help each other out and not like, you know what I mean? Is on that front line.
Alright, well, right now I'll leave you with, if you want to come back tomorrow and talk to Morovich, we should be here, but we're not going to be able to give you your truck today.
I understand.
Well,
thank you. Thank you, especially for the card. Well enough.